So that brings us to our second question. If we are in a place like Melbourne or Toronto, where the legitimacy of transit priority is going to be difficult to build because most people drive, what are we actually going to do? How do we improve transit priority in car-centric cities so that we might be having some of the success in Zurich and Curitiba? And so the key thing about that is this idea of using pragmatic strategies. A realistic approach, think about the political framework we're in, and something that's fairly practical and that's going to work. So that's sort of the next contribution to research that's coming out of this PhD project. This idea of pragmatic strategies for implementation here in car-centric cities. So what do these look like? Well, they come in three main groups. First of all, you could build legitimacy before you implement. So, get a strong case, build a good technical case, and, maybe get some public support behind the idea as well. The other option is to avoid impacts on other road users at all. If everybody's going to get grumpy if you remove parking space to put in a tram stop, do something else. Don't remove the parking space. Just avoid the problem entirely. Or, you could actually go out there and do some small changes, just like they're doing in King Street, and build legitimacy through actually implementing. Go out there, build something, and everybody will go, oh, this isn't actually so bad after all. So within these sort of three broad ideas, there's various little strategies. So first of all, you could do some sort of technical inquiry that helps to build legitimacy for this idea of transit priority. Big, huge transport planning sort of ideas. Our big plan says, yes, we want transit priority to be implemented. So, when we go and implement it, it's supported by this plan. Or, we could actually do some sort of public process or hearing. So we'll go to the council and we'll actually debate it. And, to a certain extent, this is what happened in Clarence Street at the end. There was a public process, a public hearing. The council's made a decision to keep some of it and not keep others of it. Built legitimacy for what was kept. Avoiding impacts on other road users, well, it's pretty simple to go underground. That avoids the problem of annoying car drivers at all. Just costs money. But it is a pragmatic strategy. You can avoid a lot of political problems if you just go underground. And to a certain extent, that's the position of Mayor Rob Ford in Toronto. The war on the car's over, let's go underground. You're still going to get transit priority. The other option is to go with some sort of subservient priority, which is the idea that you prioritise transit, but without actually impacting the cars. So we do that here in Melbourne. You can drive your bus on the shoulders on the Eastern Freeway. It's great for the bus. Doesn't really do all that much to make things worse for the cars. In Curitiba, the very famous circular bus stop things that were put in, it prioritises transit because you can get on and off the bus really fast, which makes dwell times go down, but it doesn't impact cars. Car drivers don't mind if you get in and out on this. It's very pragmatic, and it avoids impacts on other road users. And finally, building legitimacy through implementation itself. We have this idea of bottom-up and incremental implementation, which we see here in Melbourne. So this is what it looked like on Spencer Street in 2009, and they did a track renewal. This is what it looks like now. Pretty minor change, but from a transit priority point of view, that's quite a decent thing. No one's going to, very few people are going to drive their car over this, but you're pretty worried about people driving a car over this. Think about what might happen next time they go and do some works. And we very much see a lot of this happen around the tram stops. The tram stops that are getting renewed in Melbourne. The renewal is all about disabled access, but there's some smart people out there who are hammering down a little bit of transit priority while this is going on. And so it's coming from the bottom up. They're working as designers and construction engineers and those sorts of things, and they're implementing little bits at a time. And no one really notices it too much because it doesn't do too much to harm things. Pop-ups, pretty exciting in cycling and urban development and stuff, but it has also been applied in transit priority. Boston went out there and with some traffic cones, built some transit priority every morning for 8 months. And it was great because if on, they started on Monday morning, and if on Tuesday morning the mayor had got a lot of angry phone calls, they just wouldn't have gone out on Wednesday. So low risk. And it built legitimacy over time, and then they got some money and they put down the line marking. So pretty pragmatic approach. And then, of course, we can do something a bit more major, the trial itself. We've done that here on Clarendon Street, and they've been doing that in King Street as well. You get a very clear idea as to what level of transit priority is legitimate if you try it and see. And the nice thing is you can say, we're only going to do this for 3 months, we're only going to do this for a year, and then we'll have the argument about, or the discussion about what we should keep. So the nice thing is that these pragmatic strategies, you can use more than one. So King Street's been supported by, it's a trial, and there's also been a whole lot of technical inquiry and public processes, and it's even part of a nice big huge transport plan. Same thing in Boston. Yep, they did a pop-up, but it's subservient. It's only there during the rush hour peak when parking isn't allowed anyway. And it's bottom-up and incremental. It's the local city mayor who's just got behind it with a traffic engineer, and they've only done a little bit at a time. So nice and couple of strategies working together. Same thing in Curitiba. The local mayor, the local traffic engineer, transport engineer, and they did it as a short-range trial just to see if it worked on a couple of routes, and then they extended it later. And then other things in Curitiba are a bit more major. They've had this major transport plan, public processes, and all this sort of stuff to decide what they're going to do, and that's the thing that supported their big, huge BRT stuff. But fundamentally, it's built up over time. They started with one route, now they've got 3, I think. It's built up over time. So pragmatic approach. Zurich again, technical inquiry, a public process, they had a vote. And then again, they've used all sorts of pragmatic strategies along the way, which we might not necessarily hear about in the research literature. Because we just hear, Zurich's fantastic. But along the way, they've used a lot of what would be pragmatic strategies to develop to where they are now.